Fly, Eagles, fly. Fly, Eagles, fly. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm testing out my fly, Eagles, fly. Fly, Eagles, fly. What's coolin'? What's going on? We got the Philadelphia Eagles here at number 5. I know you're saying, ooh, it seems a little low, doesn't it? What is it, a little Super Bowl hangover right here? Nah, it's a good football team, and they're going to be good once again, barring major injuries and whatnot. Go on to the offensive line here and talk about the Hog Mollies. It is an amazing offensive line. You lose Mekhi Becton, so that is something we have to count for here. Maybe Tyler Steen could fill that role nicely this season. He had a couple of years to develop. At tackle, though, we start here at the number 1 ranking in the NFL. It's very good. Jordan Mataala was arguably the best left tackle in football. That guy is an absolute beast. And then on the opposite end, Lane Johnson, the ageless wonder at this point. It's just incredible how athletic he still is. That guy, for me personally, if you had to tell me you get one offensive tackle to choose in the NFL to go against Myles Garrett for a rep, who are you taking? I'm taking Lane Johnson. He's just remarkable. He just doesn't get beat out there against the best edge rushers game in, game out. I think he is the toughest guy to get through in the NFL. He's so athletic, but yeah, he's so powerful. I don't know. It is what it is, but Lane Johnson's unbelievable. You got Kendall Lamb as their main swing tackle, I figured, this season. Then you get some young guys to be able to develop, like Miles Hinton, 6th-round pick, and Cameron Williams also was 6. Both were like 6th-round picks. A year he's been struggling quite a bit, and then, more or less, maybe they throw him on IR for the season, let him develop or something like that, stash him there. Darian Kennard also figures to be a good chance to make the roster, especially if Williams hits the IR. Then they could keep Lamb, Hinton, and Kennard as your main 5 offensive linemen. My guess, though, is Lamb and Hinton are both locked in there, and then it's going to come down to what they want to do, and depending on those injury situations, who they're able to designate. In the interior, at guard, I rank him at 7. You got Landon Dickerson, the beast, the dick, right? He is an absolute... No, Monster is an underrated... that's not good enough for what Landon Dickerson is, right? The uncrustable man. He's on a different level, right? He's in Wednesday, the psychic ability when it just, it like pops randomly. Like, that's freaking Landon Dickerson. He's unbelievable. So Tyler Steen at right guard is definitely a big question, though, for me. Like, when what I have seen, and I guess I keep thinking about that Dallas Cowboys game from a few years back and what I saw from him, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I need to give him the benefit of the doubt, okay? You got the best offensive line coach in the NFL. It's Jeff Stoutland. It's Stoutland University, of course. However, they at least have good depth. You got Matt Pryor there, who, as a veteran presence in here, could easily start for this football team, too. So you got Kenyon Green. We'll see if he can develop. At center, you got Cam Jurgens, the Beef Jurgens. I rank him at number 12 in the NFL. Very good center. Just got paid. You got Drew Kendall. They drafted as a backup. You can still have Brett Tooth, who's a good, solid player, too. Can be a nice backup for this team as well. So the offensive line is a good one. They've got depth. They're really loaded to be a very solid. It just comes down to the right guard position, maybe a little weaker this year. And then on to the wide receiver position, which I rank at number 6 in the NFL. You got Devontae Smith and you got A.J. Brown, 2 superstars. And then it comes down to who's going to be that number 3 wide receiver, right? Darius Cooper. Oh, my gosh. He came from nowhere. Tarleton State? I've never even heard of that place. So it's on my radar now. Darius Cooper. I watched him in the preseason game versus the Bengals, and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I watching A.J. Brown? He's even got number 41. Who is this guy? I'm sure there were a ton of Google searches after that game on Darius Cooper. But, dude, that guy can play. He's got an insane release package. His strength profile. Dude's twitchy for his size. So he kind of looks a little bit like A.J. Brown, too. Unbelievable. If they found it, what a crazy steal that would be. It's one preseason game, so I don't want to go too crazy and don't want to exploit the hype train like it is. But that guy, so impressive. I don't know, man. I would start him over Jahad Dotson at this point right now. But any which way, you do have Jahad Dotson to figure still to be the early on starter for the football team. Johnny Wilson could be their blocking, big wide receiver, jump ball guy, of course. And then you have some competition out here, but I think Cooper ends up making the roster. And then it comes down if they want to keep 6 guys, maybe Aniyah Smith, if they want to go Avery Williams for special teams. I haven't really seen a whole ton of him on special teams so far. I like Giles Jackson, maybe just because the announcer there, it's touchdown, you know what I mean? It's Jackson. That one announcer, I don't know his name, but anyway, Giles Jackson. I always feel like he made a ton of plays at Washington. So whenever I watch Washington film, I'm like, oh, it's Giles Jackson making another deep ball or something like that. So I just kind of stout that there, a little bit of bias, what it is. We'll see. Probably more of a practice squad candidate for the football team. On to the tight end room, which also looks very, very good. You got Dallas Goedert, an amazing tight end, maybe an underrated player at this point in the NFL because you got two superstars at wide receiver next, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of get a little underrated out there, but he's unbelievable. He's a great blocker and he's a great receiving option. You got Grant Calcaterra, good solid backup. You got Kylan Grenson, also they steal from the Colts. I think he is a very good football player. He's dealt with his own fair share of injuries and whatnot. I think he's looking for a bounce back year too for the Philadelphia Eagles. So don't discount Kylan Grenson. I think he could have a big year for this team. And then you have a competition for if they keep 4 tight ends, which they may not, right? That's going to be a big thing. It depends on how many running backs they want to keep too. But EJ Jenkins would be my guess because of the youth and the upside there and his blocking ability. Harrison Bryant, though, be more of a veteran presence for the team. Running back, Saquon Barkley, my favorite player in the NFL. I'm a huge Saquon Barkley fan, and I'm so glad he got a ring, and he was amazing. And anybody who obviously had him on their football or their fantasy teams, right, I'm sure led you to greatness. You got Will Shipley as a good backup filling in there this season. Should be just fine. You got A.J. Dillon. Has a good chance to make this football team. I thought he looked pretty good too. You know, I mean, in preseason so far, he's looked solid. So I think that they're in a good position if they do keep A.J. Dillon. Maybe they go with a little more of a younger route with Montreal Johnson when he gets out there fully healthy and whatnot. So keep an eye on him. Ben Van Sumeren is going to be taking over as a fullback for this team as he transitions there, the athletic specimen that can block. So I like that. I think that's a good solid room for them. When you got Saquon Barkley, you're in a good position. He is going to be an engine. Now, who else is the engine? You got Jalen Hurts at quarterback. I rank him at 6 in the NFL, just missing the top 5, but he's definitely a superstar quarterback. You got Tanner McKee as the backup going into the season. We'll see if Kyle McCord can develop into that third-string quarterback. I do think they will keep 3 guys. It just comes down to they want to keep DTR over Kyle McCord, who DTR has played a little bit better so far in preseason and in camp from what I've heard. So that's just what it comes down to. Do they want to go with the upside of Kyle McCord, or do they go with DTR, who they feel a little bit better about right now? Maybe they keep 4 quarterbacks, which is not a thing that they're unquestioned to do. I could see Howie Roseman doing that, maybe trying to do a trade piece here or something like that. You know Howie Roseman, the deal maker, right? But no, on to this defense. And you look at this defensive line, it's still very good. It's still going to be a strength of this football team. Now, edge rusher-wise, of course, Jalen Hunt's going to have big shoes to fill with Josh Sweat. I think he'll fill him, though. I think he'll be just fine. He looked really good down the stretch, and he was also a big-time contributor, too, in the Super Bowl for them. So I think they'll be just fine. Nolan Smith's going to be their number 1 going into the season. He looked great last year in the development. Oh, man, unbelievable. Night and day from his rookie season, I'll say that. He has developed into a powerhouse for this football team. And it's going to come down to who they want to keep. If they only keep 5 guys, it's like, hey, maybe they move on from Ojulari. My guess is they keep Ojulari with the contract, everything like that. But you got Josh Uche, Ogbo Ogoronkwo, and then Antoine Powell-Ryland. All 6 of those guys. And that's why I think they end up keeping 6 edge rushers here. Like, I like the upside of Antoine Powell-Ryland. I think he'd be a good stash and develop, like, for a season as he gets stronger. And then you got, like, guys who can contribute right away with, like, Okoronkwo, Ojulari, and Uche. And Uche's got to stay healthy. That's been kind of his biggest Achilles heel, of course. But he gives them some more pass rush, more juice off the edge, right? Trying a little pun over there. On to the interior, though, you got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo. Do I need to say a whole ton more there? I rank him at number 2 in the NFL. And then they weren't done. They go in the draft. They get a 4th-round selection. And Ty Robinson gives you versatility. You can play really up and down from 0 to 5 tag. He's got that strength profile and some good athletic burst. Gabe Hall, I'm here, has been impressing out there. He's got length. He's got pass rush. He's got athleticism. Byron Young going to be competing with him, though, for that 5th spot. My guess is they only keep 5 guys here, and then you're going to have some practice squad candidates. Maybe they can talk Byron Young to hitting the practice squad, having him as an emergency interior defensive lineman. Or Gabe Hall, I think he'd probably be picked up off waivers. So they're going to have a decision to make there in terms of depth-wise. But Ojomo, Robinson are locked in as role players for this football team. It's going to come down to who they want to keep as that 5th guy. On to the linebacking room. I rank them number 1 in the NFL. Now, Nakobe Dean will likely start the season on the PUP list, unfortunately, and that's been his big thing, is just injuries. They're okay, though. You got Jeremiah Trotter, who could fill in early if they need be, but I think Jahad Campbell is ready to go. I think that guy's ready to start right away. That dude is a monster. Zach Braun is their number 1 beast, of course. And then you got Smile Mondon, who they drafted there, 5th or 6th? I think it was 5th round their selection that they got for him. So they are pretty 5 deep there. Dallas Gant could be a dude that special teams, they could make the roster with Nakobe Dean being injured. But my guess is they only keep 4 guys. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep 5. So my guess is they keep Bond, Trotter, Campbell, and Mondon for the start of the season with Dean being on the PUP list. On to the cornerback room. It's very good, but you have one weak link, and that is going to be the big thing here is Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, and Jakarian Bennett. Who wins that job? For me personally, I think Bennett is the best player out of those guys. That's the dude that I would pick. However, Ringo is definitely got the heads up right now as a starter position, and I get it. He's been able to develop. I want to see what he looks like, and there's certainly some upside with Ringo. He's got a lot of talent, so if he can develop, Adoree Jackson, he's going to be fighting for a roster spot, right? And if they want to go with more of the veteran route, he is the guy to keep there. Eli Ricks also going to be competing with guys like Adoree Jackson for a roster position. I do think Bennett has a really good chance to make the roster. Like, I don't think they picked him up for no reason. So my guess is Bennett is going to make the roster, at least as a backup guy. You got Mac McWilliams, who figures to be one locked-in roster spot as a backup slot corner for Cooper DeJean, the beast. You got two beastly corners, of course, with Kenyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. And I'm going to be curious to see if they still want to use DeJean as a punt returner for this. I hope they do, but I know that Vic and this team have talked about trying to get him away a little bit more from special teams, just utilize him on defense. Ultimately, though, like, he's just so good. I don't know if you can get him away from that. Either which way, my guess is they keep at least 5 corners. Maybe they decide to keep a 6, especially if they have some injuries and stuff like that. And then on to the safety room, which I rank 20th in the NFL. And it just comes down to some youth out here, right? Makuba, my favorite name maybe in this past draft, Andrew Makuba, I have to say it that way. But also on film, he was one of my favorite players and one of my top safeties in the draft. That guy makes plays. He's such a fluid athlete, man. He can come down to and play in the box. I thought he was best at playing free safety, give him that range, give him that ability to play that robber role. He is so good in that department. But man, once again, Vic Fangio is the type of guy where you got to trust. There's a lot of trust in his scheme. So maybe he goes with more of a guy like Sidney Brown, has a little more experience with Vic Fangio, and that is a real possibility. However, with that being said, I do like Makuba, and I think that he will end up being the starter long haul. Reed Blankenship, though, good, solid safety, has been very, very good here for the Eagles and been a complete steal for them. And then besides that, who could make the roster as a 4th and 5th safety? Well, you got McCollum, figures to be the favorite here. For me, though, I would keep an eye on Andre Sam or Maxine Hook. I think those guys have, I think Hook is definitely a guy you want to try to keep. I don't know if I'd want to let him slip on the waivers. On to the coaching staff here. I'm ranking it number 9 in the NFL. It's a good, solid coaching staff. There's not much to say. Nick Sirianni, very good very good head coach for this team. Vic Fangio, great defensive coach, one of the best defensive minds in the entire NFL. But if there's one question mark here, of course, it's the offensive coach, and Kevin Patullo going to be the OC now after Kellen Moore left. So watching out for him. Now, he was Nick Sirianni's right-hand man. He was the passing game coordinator, assistant coach. So there's clear familiarity, right? They've got the chemistry, so all those sort of things. I don't see this being like a big issue in terms of, Jalen Hurts and all those offense, like learning all new stuff and everything like that. It should be very similar concepts, and they'll have some own things that they're going to do. But in general, I feel pretty good about Patullo, and I do think he'll be a solid OC for this football team. And you got, like I said, Vic Fangio on the other side. Nick Sirianni's the head coach, giving them some good continuity. It's not like they're losing both their coordinators like they did a few years back and whatnot. So coaching staff looks pretty dang good. I rank it at number 9. And finishing up with the record prediction, I have them going 14-3. And a very, very good record, of course, just maybe losing out to another football team, right? You can clearly see it's one of either the Rams or the Buccaneers who just ended up going a little bit further in terms of this in my rankings. But ultimately, I think the Eagles are going to be right there contending for a Super Bowl. So let me know what you think, agree or disagree. Do you think they go back-to-back this year? It wouldn't shock me. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you later, Eagles. Let's go.